Are we going to do the pigeon thing again, or no?
No.
No pigeons? Okay, cool.
Well, now we have to.
Caw. That's not even a pigeon sound.
I know. No, it's not. It's a falcon.
An interesting way to start.
I hate you. What's up, you fucking nerds? How are we all doing today? I hope you guys are having a good day. This is your co-host, Blake.
We're going to keep making you do the intros because it makes it
Oh.
so funny.
Oh, shut up. What's your name?
My name's Corbin.
I'm James.
And I'm Blake, always doing the intros. Again.
We do that because James and I don't want to do that.
You're okay with your voice being on the internet, but screw doing an intro with two guys you know.
I can't come up with anything. I'm just like, hi.
Hi. Listen to me, please.
Hi, I'm Corbin. Like and subscribe.
But yeah, so we're going into our final part of this, I would say quadrilogy of timeline for the Imperium, because we did the Great Crusade leading up to the Horus Heresy, the Horus Heresy itself with all the brothers and space opera, and then the Siege of Terra, and now we're into the I wouldn't say final part, because this takes place so far after 30k in the Horus Heresy, but it kind of highlights the denigration of what happened to the Imperium and why we're in the state that we are in 40k.
But guess what, guys? The Imperium of Boring is almost over. We're going to move on to Xenos next, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Oh yeah, that's not boring. Yeah. Okay. But yes,
Tyranids.
James, I'm going to ask you the dreaded question. What happened last episode?
So Big E died, got on the chair, got fed some souls.
Every day.
Yeah, every day. Sanguinius? No.
Yeah, Sanguinius.
Sanguinius died.
Horus died.
Horus died. Everyone's dead, Dave. They're all dead.
All the Primarchs scattered to the four winds for
Yeah,
different reasons.
everyone left.
Vulcan's on a respawn timer.
Yeah. Everyone died, but then they didn't die.
you
can't
look so
kill-
bored saying
You
this,
can't kill
You can't
what,
kill the demons.
you can't kill what's already dead inside,
including you by the sounds of it.
including me.
Why? Is this boring or something? Or
No, I'm just saying, like, you cannot kill what is already dead.
what is dead may never die.
Yeah.
I don't know, Kurz died.
Yeah, true. So did Mortarion.
Sad boys rejoice.
Mortarion's not dead.
He died.
He
though.
can't die.
He died.
He can't die.
He died.
You know, he just goes back to the warp.
Cope-seethed mold.
He's still alive because he comes back to harass the Imperium
Like herpes can't
yet
get rid
again.
of him.
Exactly like herpes. It sticks with you forever
Herpes with wings.
and spreads like festering boils.
Yeah.
He's the hot chick with the little like sore on her lip in the corner of a party.
Oh, God. What parties did you go to?
Yeah, I was going to say, what are you talking about?
You guys are boring. I went to good parties.
Alright, so getting into the Age of Apostasy.
Way off the rails already. Let's go.
A bit off the rails, but anyways. Par for the course for Pub of Heretics. So, all of the Horus Heresy and then all the Primarchs leaving take place in 30k. No, the 31st millennium? Yeah. Now, the thing is that this Age of Apostasy takes place in the 36th millennium.
So, what, 5,000
years.
5,000 years plus. So, at this point, the Imperium has started to denigrate. And because it hasn't had any strong leadership from Primarchs or the Emperor and the High Lords of Terra, are probably into like corruption and probably have like fallen to greed, and now because like absolute power and all that kind of business, with no Emperor Primarchs to lead humanity, all they have is custodies that are relegated to the palace to protect the Emperor, and they kind of shut themselves off from everything else that isn't protecting Big E and the Space Marine legions. But the problem is that yes, they're all only about the mission and fighting Xenos and Chaos. But honestly, a lot of Space Marines follow their own doctrines and their own missions. They're not all Ultramarines set to help govern. They're not like the Imperial Fist set on building worlds, and they're not all like Salamanders that care about civilians. A lot of them are dicks that only care about fighting, and a lot of them have this like holier-than-thou attitude, and not all of them, but just enough that it sucks to be a civilian in almost every situation.
I mean, are you telling me that the flesh terrors even though they're the good guys, aren't nice.
Yeah, it's like that scene in the Night Lords book when they're like, oh yeah, the Marines errant are coming, and like to the Night Lords, and they're like, oh, all right. She's like, the Blood Angels are coming. Oh, okay. And Flesh Terrors are coming. Run!
Get us out of here, Exalted.
They're basically, I would say, the Black Templars to their Imperial Fists.
Yeah.
But the Flesh Terrors are like a successor chapter to the Blood Angels.
Yeah,
But there's also the Minotaurs, who are also known for
Being pure
being
wankers. Yeah.
being absolute scorched earth motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And also eating all of their dead, all of the
Minotaurs.
Minotaurs. Yeah, they eat the corpses of their slain enemies.
Are we
they
talking
do
about Carcharodons or are we talking about
They do
Minotaurs?
that too.
Are we sure? We're talking about... Okay.
The Minotaurs are savage.
I'm going to investigate the Minotaurs because, like, wow, okay. Then
Yeah.
I did not know that about them. Because I know that they're Iron Warriors stock.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So
Alright,
does
never
that
mind.
mean?
Well,
that-
they're thought to be Iron Warriors stock. It's not
they-
confirmed.
it
I'm
is
pretty
confirmed.
sure.
It's
Is it?
confirmed, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was unconfirmed.
So are they like eating for the sake of eating, or are they eating to find out? Like, you know how you said that
Both.
some can eat and find out like the stats.
The memories and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Both-
they're
both
mainly
I would
just
assume.
savages.
They just
Might have to double check that, of course.
Because
But,
they
that's
have a very,
that's
like-
that's the kind of stage I'm setting, is that apart from the High Lords of Terror, your governing body, you're basically at, if you're a civilian in this time, you are at the whims of whatever planet you're on, and whatever lord controls you. Like,
Yeah.
There's
But it's
no such thing as freedom of religion. There's no right to freedom of speech. You are basically a cog in the machine.
But there's a funny meme where it's just like an Imperial Guardsman's talking to his commissar, and he's just like, Sir, we're saved. The Inquisition's here." And the commissar's like, "We just fought against demons. We're not saved. We're all dying."
Exactly.
Because the
And on top of
Inquisition will
that-
be like, you didn't see demons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you got to deal with the Inquisition, which, you know, not good in any way. But, like, most times, like, there are places in the galaxy where humanity you can have a good time as a human, I'm guessing. But, like,
Yeah, they're called Death Worlds.
yeah, they're called death worlds. Yeah, but like, you know, there's points on a normal agri world, like an agricultural world, where you could just have a nice life, but like, you know, pretty few and far between. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of them are hive worlds and suck.
Find a
Only-
pub and sit and drink to death and
Yeah,
No,
that's,
after your 18-hour workday,
yeah.
you're just going home to your family that you've been trying to pump out as many kids as possible
Yeah,
because only half of them
imagine-
are going to survive.
Yeah, imagine industrial revolution, but turn to the nth degree.
Yeah, the only ones having fun are the cultists.
No, because they still have to suffer the powers of the gods. Anyways, getting back back onto the rails. So yeah, like I said, the Imperium begins to disintegrate and allows avenues of corruption and greed. I mean, it always, especially with nobility, but not as rampant. It wouldn't have been as rampant if the Emperor and the Primarchs were watching over, I would say. Because, like, if you had Gilliman there, for example, or if you had
Yes.
Rogel Dawn or Vulcan, I doubt it would have gotten this bad. But with that, that's the point, is that without this leadership and only their myth and legend to carry them forward, there was no real direction. So that's why when Gilliman and the Line come back in 40k, they're like, what the fuck is happening now?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but even Gilliman and stuff, and I love Gilliman, but he allowed a divide of of wealth, and like still had the royal families that ruled over his worlds and things
And
like
McCrae and
that.
everything.
Yeah.
I can't
And-
comment on Gilliman, but like, they wouldn't have been perfect, but it would have been better.
Yeah, because they followed the Emperor's like lead, and he always had like the rich and famous ruling the slums of like hive worlds, which it's hard enough to manage a city in like current day.
Yeah.
And then you like times 20 for the population of like New York in the same space. Like
Yeah.
it would be a task. It absolutely would be. But yeah, obviously you still have
I wouldn't
like
have done
lots
better.
of homeless, lots of crimes and gangs in the underhive worlds and stuff like that. The hive worlds will get their own episode because they're pretty interesting.
Unbelievable. And noble families on top of that.
Yeah.
But then, of course, James, the Emperor's nightmare, comes to fruition, and the Imperium begins turning to religion. But not just religion, a religion about him.
oh, the Emperor's religion,
Yeah, but he never
the
wanted
dead
that,
man's
though.
religion.
Do you remember what the book's called?
The Astartes, isn't that the?
No, that's the Space Marines.
Lorgar's book.
Oh,
The book that Lorgar created, which is basically the Bible.
oh, god damn it.
Lectitio Divinitatis.
Oh yeah, it was had
Yeah.
some weird ass name. Yeah.
It's just funny watching James slowly get bored of this shit.
Yeah, just like stop asking me fucking questions, you two.
Yeah,
Just tell me about Abaddon and the Death Guard.
Okay. Fine, okay. I'll leave then.
Fuck the Imperium.
You know what? The
and
Age of
Big E.
Apostasy.
Huh?
No Chaos Space Marines.
What?
The Age of Apostasy has no Chaos Space Marines.
Mentioned, but that's about it.
Yeah,
But
this-
it's
but
about
this gets- but this-
corruption of man.
I promise it'll get interesting.
Okay, alright.
I mean,
As
the
long as-
Sisters of Battle are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, they do sound pretty cool.
Okay, so the imperial truth about humanity being the rightful rulers of the galaxy, and using secular belief in that that you always should always turn to science and logic and reason. That started turning into the Imperial Creed, where the Emperor is God and he and his sons sacrificed everything for us, and that Horus was the devil and they spit in his name.
But also, they have human sacrifices every day to the Emperor, as if they're not going to think that he's a god.
Yeah. Whatever. Okay.
We're
But,
going to sacrifice you to this dead guy on the chair.
He's not a god.
For no reason. He's
not
not
a
a god.
god.
But that's why they do.
But his
stuff.
power protects us.
Yeah.
And he speaks to the saints. The saints have visions of him.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah.
He's pretty godlike, but
Yeah.
he's not a god.
And these demigods called Space Marines are, like 3 times our size,
Yeah,
But,
and
like,
they
that's
keep
what
us
I mean.
safe, but sometimes they kill us.
But that's the thing, is that a lot of this like religious fervor was coming from a genuine position of like, imagine if you were a civilian in this time, 6,000 years after the fact,
Yeah.
after the Horus Heresy, and you know about this guy that is like a beacon light across the galaxy, and he and his son sacrificed everything so that way you could be there, and this guy is telling you all about it, and you're just like, yeah, I believe it. Like,
And we're talking like 60 generations down too.
Yeah.
It's like great grandpa.
so far removed. Yeah.
saw a Primarch and nobody's seen one since.
It's
Yeah.
almost like a guy that changed water into wine.
Oh my.
Yeah,
Never heard of-
Emperor is Jesus.
Never heard of him.
No, Horus was Jesus.
But the thing is that the problem was
Baby Jesus.
He's more
2-day-old baby Jesus.
Did you say baby Jesus or baby Jesus?
insert Talladega Nights.
Yeah.
but also there were wolves in the herd, as there always is in any religious movement to try and gain chance at power, such as life. The age of
Yeah. All religious leaders.
yeah. I don't want to. Yeah, I'm not commenting. The Age of Apostasy was a second period of civil war, consumed the Imperium of Man in the 36th millennium.
Was this all on Terra or was this everywhere?
It started on Terra and then everywhere
And then
else.
everywhere else.
This is another civil war. This is like arguably the most important thing that happened after the Horus Heresy and between 40k.
The most notable thing.
The most notable because it changed the way the Imperium structures themselves. So this was a giant struggle between the Administratum, which is the government, essentially,
The bean counters.
the bean counters, and the Adeptus Ministorum, which is the church, aka the ecclesiarchy, for dominance over the Imperium's governance.
We're literally talking like in Italy, like the government
Yeah.
and the Pope.
The Pope, yeah.
And that is actually a good way of putting it. That is
Vatican,
essentially
yeah.
what's happening.
Yep.
So these points are called the Reign of Blood and the Plague of Unbelief. We're only going to talk about the Reign of Blood, and the Plague of Unbelief is just a bit smaller, and it might get its own episode in the future, but it's basically another... This is the one I was telling you about, Corbin,
Yeah.
where it was a guy that was trying to take on Fenris,
Yeah.
the home of the Space Wolves, and that worked out well.
Yeah. But also, we might get back to it when we start running out of good ideas.
Oh, no, it's a good story by the looks of it, but yeah. So...
Has GW ever run out of good ideas?
Yes.
No,
They
okay.
came up with that. They created the Tau.
We're gonna have
Our high
six,
five.
we're gonna have 6 people very angry
I
about
love it
that
how we
one.
just like...
There's at least 60 Tau players.
Oh,
Because they're in every goddamn comment section on a meme page.
I just love how every time we have like come across a faction we don't like, and like, oh, every 6 fans are not gonna like this.
hey,
Yeah, but it's funny because I shit all over the Eldar, but there's a ton of Eldar fans, including a friend of mine who is a heavy Eldar player.
So why are you booing me? I'm right.
Still, fuck the knife is.
are the 6 that are the Votan the same 6 that are the Tau?
No.
No.
They're different fans.
Oh yeah.
So there's 6 Votan fans and 6 Tau
Yeah.
fans.
And they
See-
hate each other.
Yeah. See, the 6 Votan fans are neckbeards, and the 6 Tau fans are weebs. There's some crossover, but not much.
It sounds very
I'm sorry, guys. I'm spitting hate, but I don't actually mean it.
Oh, you
I
made
love
me.
you. I love you all.
Are they the
You made me
Gundam
asthma
fans?
laugh.
Yeah.
Because they have crisis battle suits that are basically giant like
Gundam mechs.
Gundam
Gundam
mechs
mechs.
with like samurai swords
Jesus.
and shields.
And then the Votan are over there singing Diggy Diggy Hall.
Yeah.
So back on the rail again for the third time. So the ecclesiarchy, which was the church, had the Imperium of Man by the balls, basically, for so long. It infected, like, every aspect of humanity, and everyone had to pay their dues to the ecclesiarchy, spiritually and financially, to the point where, like, the ecclesiarchy had so much resources at their disposal. It got to the point where they kind of called the shots when it came to the High Lords of Terror that dictate in terms of dictating policies.
Yeah, because
and
the High Lords of Terror were trying to buy favor with the ecclesiarchy because of what
and
they
vice
built up.
and vice versa.
And vice versa. But the ecclesiarchy actually built up their own army. You're probably getting to this, but
Yeah,
basically
I am.
built up their own army because of the power and like gains that they had.
Yeah.
That was like rivaling what the Lords of Terror were commanding with the Arbites.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because the Arbites are Judge Dredd cops.
Space cops.
Yeah.
On the
they're
planets.
basically the cops of across the galaxy.
And they look just like Judge Dredd
was gonna
because
say
they
Robocop
literally
or like
ripped them.
Judge
No,
Dredd?
literally
They
Judge
literally
Dredd.
ripped them off. I'm gonna pull up a picture right now.
I don't know when Judge Dredd was. Did they rip off Judge Dredd, or did Judge Dredd rip off them?
No,
Try saying
they-
that 5 times fast. Judge Dredd, Judge Dredd.
Oh, that's Judge Dredd.
It's,
Here's the thing.
this
and
is
you know
what
what?
their original minis looked like.
And you know what?
Oh, that's definitely Judge Dredd.
And you
Yeah.
know what? I'm here for both of them. I love them both.
Hey, I mean, I would have.
That was some of
Army
their
of-
first art.
Oh yeah, there's some plagiarism
So,
happening.
There's
there.
a little bit of this. It's legally distinct,
But you know,
right?
what?
Just
Apart-
like our
apart
artwork.
You know what? Games Workshop rips off everything sci-fi related. They ripped off Dune. They ripped off heaps of other things. But here's the thing: apart from
Took
Judge,
inspiration from.
took inspiration from whatever. But like, here's the thing: apart from Judge Dredd, I think that they've taken everything, they've ripped off everything, but they've made it better. I think
For the most part, but Arbites,
for the most part, yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
Arbites
Arbites or
basically-
whatever. I like them. I like that dude in Eisenhorn. I can't remember his name.
Necrons started out as Determinators,
Yeah.
but then they
they
made them interesting.
Necrons originally had no lore, and now they have. Now they're basically murder robots, but they have a story.
Yeah. Murder robots with
Yeah.
with a sad backstory.
Back onto the fucking rail. Jesus Christ.
So many
Sorry,
rails.
Emperor. In the Emperor's name. Damn.
Hey, you bring up Space Marines in my Xenos episodes all the time. I'm gonna do the
Oh,
reverse.
sorry, I didn't count on you bringing up Arbites and Judge Dredd into the Age of Apostasy. Sorry that I didn't see that fucking coming out of nowhere.
They actually existed in this time and played a role.
Oh, yeah, whatever. Okay, so the Ecclesiarch is basically the Galaxy Pope. He's the Space Pope. And leads the Ecclesiarchy. And if I remember correctly, I believe that he has that position on the High Lords of Terror, like on the Council.
Yes.
Is he like Psycho or is he just
No, Psycho.
he's
Just a spiritual leader.
just a spiritual?
basically,
Just a man in cloth.
basically a Galaxy Pope is the best way to put it for you.
Yeah.
in
Lots
term-
of
in-
gold, lots of rings, lots of white flowy cope.
Yeah.
Like capes.
Do you want to say that again?
Yeah. He's got a lot of cope.
A lot of cope, yeah. You're not wrong. So they
So he's like the
began,
real Pope,
Yeah.
sort of, but on a galaxy scale.
He's a cope pope.
even with the children.
No, well, maybe. They began.
Can the pope cope?
Oh, for fuck's sake. Shut up!
Pop goes the pope.
They began dictating everything from the government to the military to the point where the Space Marines and the Mechanicus just dipped and distanced themselves from all of that because they didn't want to deal with what was going on between the government, the Administratum, and the Ecclesiarch.
Well, it would be like the army trying to take military warfare control of a government. Like, it's going to be messy.
Yeah.
If the Adeptus Astartes actually tried to take over, which they do in some worlds, but it's like... It's
messy.
seen as like a military takeover of a world.
It's like a coup or something.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
they could see the brewings of one, but it's like seeing all that tension. And then when the Marines and the Mechanicus dipped, it was just kind of like that talking to that weird guy at the party that's trying to get you into crypto, but you don't want to talk about it, and they just keep following you and keep demanding your money. So that's essentially what it was.
Buy my NFT. It's going to be worth money.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, have you heard about Bitcoin?
It's like his guy gives you a sermon and then follows you around demanding $5 because he gave you the sermon. So
Donations plus tithe.
So the Administratum tried taking back some of its power from the Ecclesiarchy. So then the Ecclesiarchy fucked off to another rich planet away from Terra. Can't remember the name, sorry. And so they could just do whatever they want and start, making things the way they wanted to create it. And they begin making their own armies called the Fraterus Templars. And this is basically just like, imagine Adeptus
Astra Militarum.
Astra Militarum. Imagine that, but with religious hints to it. And but they don't listen to the government or the Administratum or anybody else. They only listen to the Ecclesiarchy.
Okay.
Do you have down there who the first ecclesiarch was?
No.
No, I can't remember what it is, but I have.
So then why'd you bring it up?
I'm sorry, I thought you had done your research. No,
Fuck you.
we can cut this. I'm just being
No, this is staying in, prick.
All right. Everyone knows I'm a dick.
All right,
Let's
you
keep
look it up
moving on.
then. We'll do your research and I'll sit over here then wait for you. I'll stare at you.
Everyone's going to hate me after this episode. The Tau fans, all of them. All of
Tau,
them. The
Votan,
Votan
me.
fans. The Eldar fans.
The Orc fans.
Even they'll disown you.
Yeah.
But yeah, in so doing, they ended up taxing the hell out of their own worlds to the point where the populations would be just like in this horrible state of starvation but they'd be taxing them so that they could fund rebuilding giant temples back on Terra.
Oh.
It's kind of like during what was it? Like during like Caligula and that other crazy Roman emperor, Nero, where he was trying to build all these beautiful artworks to the emperor and these beautiful things, but then the problem is that half your population is dying of starvation.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Veneris II, ecclesiarch in circa 200 M31. Veneris II was elevated as the first ecclesiarch of the imperial cult to become a member of the Senatorum Imperialis, and died of old age.
Cool.
So this is 5,000 years ago. The first was.
Are you glad that you know that?
Yes.
Okay, good.
This was 5,000 years ago before you said that he was brought into the Senatorum Imperialis.
What?
Sorry, I just actually knew.
What do you mean actually me?
Because this was M31.
Yeah, no, I
You're
didn't say that the ecclesiarchy started in 36 millennium. I didn't say that. I'm saying that this age of apostasy happens in the 36 millennium.
Cope seed mold.
No, I never said that the ecclesiarchy started here. They started afterwards.
I'm just stirring you. It's fine. Continue on with your speech.
I don't want to anymore. Just leave.
No, Veneris II.
On behalf of all Votan fans and all Tau fans, leave.
All 12.
All 12 of us. Hey, you listen to us. There are dozens of us.
Yes, well, the Votan fans can suck my dick, while the Tau fans eat my ass. So.
This is made for children.
Right. We don't have that many subscribers to start pissing people off, mate. Okay, anyways. But
We don't suck dick for subscribes.
I know, but I don't also piss them off just to make a point.
Fans.
Fucking hell, can I get back on a plan? Jesus.
Mom,
If you
Dad,
can't tell-
stop fighting.
If you can't tell, we've been recording for a while today, and it's starting to get to us a little bit. Continue
Us or
on.
just you? And as if things couldn't get any worse, with the way the state of the Imperium was going, they suffered more from warp storms cutting off the planets in the wider Imperium, and then they were being attacked by Chaos Space Marines, Orcs, and Drukhari. So the entire Imperium was gripped in a frenzy of doom because they honestly thought that they had done something wrong, that they had genuinely displeased the Emperor, and then countless new sects had sprung up, many proclaiming that the God Emperor was doing this because of his final judgment and that the end times were coming.
The ecclesiarchy had sex?
No, sects, S-E-C-T-S, that's my lisp coming into play.
No, I wasn't making fun of your lisp, I was making a wordplay joke.
Yeah, wordplay. Yeah,
Because, Catholic priests.
as we get onto that. And then what rose up in the whole populations of these worlds.
What rose
was
up, Blake?
increasingly bizarre and extravagant acts of penance and self-flagellation. So picture
That always makes it rise up.
Yeah, I know.
Self-flagellation.
Yes.
Yeah,
Did they
yeah.
remove ribs?
No.
No,
Remember
that's when you whip
yourself.
yourself.
You remember that scene from the Da Vinci Code where Paul Bettany's like taking it out on himself?
I was...
Also, this is nothing new though, because Dawn had his own pain glove.
Yeah, but that's for his episode and explaining that.
Yeah.
There was a different reason for that. It wasn't for religious reasons.
No, it was a kinky reason.
I was gonna say.
It was not a kinky reason.
Dawn's a
Rib for
masochist.
someone's
And it's,
pleasure.
it's
God damn it.
Yeah.
Emperor, damn it.
Whose pleasure is that glove ribbed for?
Oh,
Right.
definitely not mine having to listen to you. Okay, so... Can I please get through this fucking episode, you fucking children?
Yes, continue.
Okay. So, this is where High Lord Goge Vandire came into play. And this is where the real Reign of Blood began.
Yes, and he's the foot fetishist. Just remember that.
Okay.
He may as well be at this point. Why not?
No, because there was the artwork of, or like, it was either the artwork and the stories where he made the sisters not wear shoes in his temple. And so there was yeah. So they had to be barefoot in his temple, and which is where like the joke about him becoming a foot fetishist came from.
That definitely sounds like
It was either from a piece of artwork that, or there was a story about the sisters not being allowed to wear shoes in the.
I'm so annoyed you're actually right.
I know, right? I wasn't making this shit up. It's a literal thing, because there was a whole bunch of jokes about it. So I looked into it, and yeah, he made the sisters not wear shoes in his temples because he's a foot fetishist. So keep that in mind. Doge Vandire, foot fetishist.
foot fetish. Okay.
Even if it's not canon, that's still funny.
It's canon.
So
Everything is canon.
yeah, here came Goge fucking Vandire and made this whole thing so much worse.
He came.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'll stop.
I don't believe you. He became master of the administratum, the government. Now, take that into play. He became master of the government that was at odds with the ecclesiarchy. But just being the leader of the government was also not his end goal. Shortly before his ascension to the rank of High Lord of Terror, Vandire brought about a selection of different type of men for his own choosing, so that they could become the head of the ecclesiarchy in his stead. So basically become a face man for him.
Did he look at their feet first?
Oh, God, fuck's sake! This is not going to be a thing!
You said that he chose them for, like, did he look at their feet and like, yeah, you're alright?
I'm sure
He's
that-
more interested in Sisters of Battle Feet.
Who isn't? So ensuring that...
I'm not.
So he ended up choosing this guy named Paulus III to become the new ecclesiarch, and he was perhaps the weakest man to have ever served in that office. And even then, despite being a High Lord of Terror in the government, and also having his own man as the ecclesiarch, he thought, no, I need more. And then proceeded to storm the ecclesiarchal palace, slaughter Paulus III whilst he was in the middle of some debauchery that he shouldn't have been in the first place, and then shot him and declared himself the ecclesiarch without a vote, claiming control for both the administratum and the ecclesiarchy, claiming control of both institutions.
Yes, of the state and church.
State and church, essentially, yeah. So he basically made himself like a pseudo-emperor into like doing some Breaking Bad shit.
Oh, yeah.
I saw you look at me like you were expecting a joke, and I
I
came
was
at you
expecting
with
a
a
joke,
serious
yeah.
answer.
Yeah. Keep it up, please. Don't. Okay. After the next couple of days after that was a lot of slaughter of cardinals that were opposed to it, and that he either elite weak or conniving men he could trust to support him, while others ran because they knew what was coming for them. He essentially now had free reign to do whatever he wanted.
He controlled the Imperium.
Essentially, he could dictate policy however he wanted.
And the Astartes had already like cleared out to be like, nah, that's your fucking problem. We're gonna go and like take care of the Xenos issues.
Xenos,
Yeah. So
I guess
the
at this
Marines were
point-
just like, we don't care what happens in the government. We're doing our own thing.
So
Yeah.
after this point, because this is like, 5,000-6,000 years after Horus, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Are the Tyranids becoming, like,
Nope.
when do they become...
Tyranids are not in for another 4,000 years, not until 40
Yeah.
40 millennium.
So
Yeah.
what is it, just like the orcs?
At the moment, it's
Orcs and elves.
orcs, elves, Trader Space Marines, and that's it.
Pretty much.
Necrons aren't awake yet.
No.
Wotan's still in the
Oh,
middle.
there is one or two stories about them stumbling upon a tomb world and waking some Necrons up, but they're minuscule, if anything.
Minuscule
Yeah, okay.
in comparison to the galaxy.
I think Drukhari and Orcs are the biggest threats, because Drukhari pirates
at this point, it was Drukhari, Orcs, and Trader Space Marines.
Yeah.
But those are also other threats. Tau aren't involved yet. Gene Stealers aren't a thing. Nids aren't a thing yet. Necrons aren't a thing yet.
Okay.
Tau have never been a concern.
Not really, no. Out of all the factions, they're probably the smallest next to Drukhari.
I mean, they have like one story and it's against Neds.
Oh, so they don't even.
Oh no, there's a couple of other books now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Only about the Crisis.
back
Core.
onto the rail for the 5th
They're all
time.
fan fictions
Yeah.
from the 6 fans.
Yeah.
They each wrote one book.
It's honestly a lot of like hoof fetish because Tau don't have feet; they have hooves.
And also
What
they're
is-
blue like fish. They have gills.
What is up with 40k just being full of sex, drugs, and feet?
Honestly,
There's a
it
bunch
was.
of
Honestly, it
maidenless-
wasn't. It's just the. Honestly, it wasn't. It's just the fans.
True. Yeah, any fans?
I'd say yeah. Also, the writers are a little bit maidenless as well.
Honestly, but that's also not their fault. That's what would happen in this world.
Yeah.
I love that Blake doesn't know what maidenless is. 'Cause
He can guess what it means.
What's this?
It's an Elden Ring.
it's an
reference.
Elden Ring reference because you don't know Elden Ring.
No.
When you start the
No,
We
I
actually know something
sex.
that Blake doesn't know. Elden
For one.
Ring.
Yeah, for once. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so back onto the rails. So with all this power and containing power in both institutions, he became even more and more insane, claiming that he spoke with the authority of the God Emperor himself, and that he would like speak in tongues and go into trances and shit. And that after coming out of these trances, he would wanted to make sure that every single word that he said in those trances were written down and then followed to the letter. But
Thou shalt not wear shoes in my temple.
that probably would have been one of them.
So wait, is he doing this like on purpose, like, or is he actually
Oh, yeah.
having these like?
Have you ever seen televised Christian like ministers?
Oh, I
Yeah,
know.
the crazy,
Yeah.
the
But is-
crazy
is
shit
that
they
what
get
it
into.
is? Like-
but his thing, I genuinely think he believes that he's talking to the Emperor. But the thing is like he's putting himself like into these trances, and then whatever he's saying, he just follows. But the thing is that a lot of these orders just didn't make sense. It'd be shit like, it'd be like so contradictory, like go into the ocean but don't get wet, like that kind of crap.
Oh, okay.
And
He's
it just
batshit
orders-
insane. He's Hitler.
like Caligula Nero kind of stuff, and it just defied logic, and then would sanction these laws against the population of the worlds, and then kill whoever didn't obey him.
Like Hitler.
Yeah. Now, James, just to point out as well, do you know what the Adeptus Astra Telepathica is?
I must say no.
Okay. They are essentially message psychers.
They're telephones if telephones are people.
Yeah. They are psychers that can
How do you
send...
pick them up? Where do you talk into?
You give them a list of, you give them a written page and they send that shit.
Ah,
Yeah.
I was thinking.
They're like a fax machine then.
I was
The
thinking
quickest way to get a message from one planet to another, or from a warship to a warship, is by sending messages telepathically through the warp. It's not always reliable, and sometimes it won't arrive on time, but it is the best way so far known.
Do you remember that Hammer and Bolter episode that we saw with the Death Guard, and they go and see that like choir of people that are like singing with like light glowing out of their eyes?
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's a Astra Telepathica choir.
Okay.
And how you would do this is you would either have a psyker or like a host of psychers called the telepathic choir. And
I thought I was bringing.
I love it how I have a script and you just know what I'm going to say, and then you say it anyways, and then I'm like, well, I may as well not even fucking say it now.
Well, I mean, it's almost like we share a brain cell.
Yeah.
But also, I thought that was definitely something like the Hammer and Bolter episode. I thought that was something you wouldn't have in your episode, and I'm like, this makes sense for
You're
him.
right. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, whatever. But like each planet would have a choir.
I'm
and-
sorry for trying to contribute.
Yeah, please shut up.
Back to feet.
I'll just stick to making dirty jokes then while you continue.
Whatever you say.
Feet jokes.
Are you sure you're not part of Slanesh?
I am Chaos Undivided.
No, you're not.
No, yeah, I know.
You're
But
deaf
Nurgle
guy.
likes feet too.
That's fair.
It's feet with toe jam.
Okay.
Have you
but
ever scraped a toenail against a rusty
No,
wall?
shut up. So basically, it's
I'd
an
hate to see the pictures that are going to come up for these.
Blake's gonna have so much fun editing this episode, but I'm probably gonna be cut completely from it.
I'm just going to cut you out entirely, mate. Anyways, it's an extremely important organization, as it is like vital to how the Imperium runs and works. And so it's so important that one of the High Lords of Terror is usually the highest ranking member in the Astra Telepathica. The reason why I mention this is because Vandire wanted to control them as well. He couldn't make himself a lord of all three organizations, otherwise that would have, caused too much panic. He knew.
It's
Just
like
two,
Palmer
isn't it?
controlling
Yeah.
the news, the printed news.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like if someone
He
named
wanted
himself
control over all of the
named himself the
communication
president.
between the
Yeah,
worlds.
named himself the president, the pope, and then the leader of the only organization of.
Or be the same
news.
person.
Yeah, it'll be the same person. Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Power.
So a man named Lord Phaedrus was their master and a powerful psyker, and could not be swayed by any of Vandire's schemes or charisma, and saw through his bullshit because he was a powerful psyker. But Vandire also realized that killing him wasn't going to work either, and had to think of a way to keep him around but also not have him be a threat. So he kidnapped him. Vandire, now being a dual member of the High Lords of Terror, was able to have access to the assassin temples. Now, I'm not going to be able to explain in this whole episode how fucking insane that is. But there are essentially four temples of assassins, and each one of those assassin temples has a speciality. They are unbelievably powerful and unbelievably good at their jobs.
Almost too OP. They'll get their own episode
Yeah, they'll
because
get their
they're
own
quite
episode, yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
So we have couple of different types. You got the sniper ones. You've got like the ones that have like poison. Ones that dance with blades.
They all have their specialities. But for
okay,
this particular instance, he ordered a Coluxus assassin to assist him. This means nothing to you, but let me paint a
Those
picture
are the
for you.
four.
Okay.
But let me paint a picture for you.
Wait, so with those assassins, are there just 4 of them?
No,
No,
there's a
there
whole
are-
temple
There's
of each of them.
Each
that's
temple
what I
has
was.
four.
There's multiple members in each temple.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
There isn't just 4 individuals.
That's why I was like, wait, there's just 4 people and they each get their own temple, but there's an army behind them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So let me paint a picture for you. You're a powerful psyker and you've just been strapped to a table. And all of a sudden,
Ooh, this is a Saturday night.
Christ, you see this fucker come out of the shadows and simply do nothing but stand next to you. You now want to rip your own eyeballs out of your sockets. You are in that much pain. Because out of the four Assassina temples, this is the Coluxus Assassin, and these guys are the most potent anti-psyker agents in the universe. The Eldar described these guys as being the embodiment of pure evil. You remember how we were talking...
Eldar, dude.
The Eldar. You remember how we were talking 2 episodes ago on the Horus Heresy about blanks and about the Sisters of Silence?
Yep.
They have that blank gene. These Coluxus assassins have that blank gene, but they weaponize it.
That's what the headrest does.
Yeah.
Amplifies that shit.
So
Yeah.
were they like human or are they?
They're all human, but the problem is that they are immune.
Those are suits.
Yeah,
They're
those are all
like
suits.
different, like,
Okay.
So
Yeah,
they've
they're-
got like the body
They're
glove
mission suits,
and
yeah.
everything. They
Same
all
thing
each
how the
wear
Sisters
body
of
glove.
Silence have like armor, but they're still human
Yeah.
underneath.
I know. It's just they looked
But
very
they-
Eldar-ish, like so. I didn't know if they were.
No, but they are immune to psychic powers, but also cause pain to psychers nearby and nullify their abilities. And these guys take this ability and weaponize it. If you're a normal human anywhere near these guys, you feel like you're getting smacked in the head by a sledgehammer repeatedly. And if you're a psyker, insert nervous crying laughter, you're gonna fucking want to die. You will shoot yourself. In fact, there's a story of a guardsman that comes into a tent and just has a glance at one of these. And just has a glance at one of these and just shoots himself in the head. Just because it is
Just from a
unbearable to be near any of these fuckers.
It's almost unbearable to be around a normal blank.
A normal
So
blank already.
They're like even as a non-psychic human, you feel uneasy and uncomfortable and even sick to your stomach standing next to a blank.
A normal.
And
Next
this
to a
is-
Sister of Silence, and then this is a Coluxus assassin
so that
who has been
head-
taught to use this ability.
And just like waves of just like massive nausea and like terror hitting you, like, and just an emptiness.
That's a
in
normal
your-
blank.
Yeah.
And this is just the one part. Like this is one temple.
This is one temple that's
that
dedicated
might
to
have
that.
thousands of these people.
Yeah, and only the High Lords of Terror have access to these guys.
Oh well, yeah, yes, but
Within
the
degrees of-
Inquisition uses them as well sometimes.
They're high
Okay,
levels of power.
so if they
Not all of them.
Not all of them, but the Inquisition have the ability to call on them.
Yes, yeah.
so if they're working for the quote good guys, right? So if
Imperium,
he's like
yeah.
if the Imperium have hired them, do
Wait,
they-
you still think the Imperium are the good guys?
No, well, no. It said
Yes, they are.
quote unquote. So if so they're not always just radiating this thing. Like they can
No,
turn
they
it
are.
on.
They are.
So why would somebody come near them and be like, "Hey, can you go and do this thing?"
Oh no! It's they'll probably send you like a message through the Vox,
Or a servitor will come up with a written
that
message
doesn't,
for you.
or a servitor like expendable thing, and then they'll like, these are your mission parameters, do it now, and then die.
Ah,
So
okay. 'Cause I'm like, how
I think
are
you're
they, like-
I think you're forgetting how grimdark this universe is.
I know, but I'm like, okay, if they're being like hired to be a hitman, they've got to be told in some way.
Yeah.
And if they're anti-psyker, then it's not like they can telepathically tell them.
Yeah, because it wouldn't work. So
It just doesn't work. So then
there are
how
other
do
ways
they-
apart from telepathic.
Also, yeah, like data slates and stuff send messages, like
Or
vox
servitors
messages
or
and
something
stuff
like that.
You
Or an
can talk to
expended
people.
or expendable menial, anything.
Yeah, there's like radios through the Vox and stuff
Like, this is your
that.
mission parameters, you must do it.
Because
and
I
then
was
die.
thinking, oh, maybe they can just turn it on and off.
Nope,
Like,
can't turn it off.
maybe they turn it
It's
off.
the way they're
They
born.
can probably
then-
turn it up, but they can't turn it off.
Yeah.
Or like even turn it down so that like a non-psyker could come up to him and be like, okay,
Yeah.
you have to kill the Emperor or whoever.
Yeah.
And then they like leave and then they turn it up.
No, there's always a way around it. So like assassins, basically, something gets written on a specific wall for them, and they're like,
Or
cool,
they'll
this
have
is
their
our
own
mission.
ship.
Oh,
Or
okay.
they'll have their own ship, and then they can take themselves wherever they want in order to complete this mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, with the assassin temples, they'll have mass resources at their disposal to use whatever they need.
Yeah.
So, but yes, so they had one of these guys stand next to Phaedrus and strapped him in to a life support system so that he wouldn't die by the assassin until the assassin permanently cut the Lord's connection to the warp, making him lose his psychic powers entirely. Phaedrus, realizing this, tried to kill himself multiple times, and it would always be Vandire there to remove the blade or cut the rope around his neck, and essentially breaking this guy mentally, and has now claimed power over him. Because the Lord can't tell his people he's not a psyker anymore, because that's their whole thing. Vandire promised to keep the Lord's secret as long as he did whatever he was told to do. So now he has control over 3 of the major functions in the Imperium. Vandire's power just kept growing, and then he threw a parade on the planet of Sanlior, because he had heard about a convent of religious women named the Daughters of the Emperor who practice fighting as a form of practicing faith in the Emperor's name.
He found Amazonian women, and he was like, "Hell yeah, brother!
Sign me up for that shit.
Feet.
We're gonna watch these women wrestle in the mud."
Yeah.
But here's the thing. When Vandire tried to enter the convent, the sisters armed themselves and said no, saying they didn't believe that he spoke with the Emperor's word. But Vandire predicted that and said, "I'm personally blessed by Biggie himself." And then he told the head woman, Alicia Dominica, to shoot him.
I don't know if
Best
you know
girl.
who I am, but I know the dead dude on the chair.
Yeah.
He and I are
she's
buddies.
like,
He and I are buddies,
she's
actually.
like, points a gun at him and like, bullshit.
Yeah. And then miraculously, the bullet bounced off of him and the convent kneeled before him as a messenger of the Emperor.
Keep in mind, yeah.
Because the fuckhead was wearing a conversion field generator that made a shield around him, and it just passed it off as divine intervention. He
Yeah.
basically had an invul save.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, the iron halos and things that they wear that are
Yeah.
basically a
Yeah.
shield around their body to stop them being shot. He was wearing it, and this is a backwater planet that doesn't have that kind of tech.
So they don't
So they just
know
assumed that it
then.
was magic.
They assumed that it was the Emperor saving him from the
Yeah,
bullets.
and that this guy must be a messenger of the Emperor.
If he's got bullets ricocheting off him and
Yeah,
Yeah.
when he's not wearing armor.
yeah.
Yeah. So he earned their naive loyalty, and they became his personal bodyguards, his nurses, his entertainers, and
Concubines.
companions,
Yeah.
and named them the brides of the Emperor.
Entertainers.
Entertainers, like, like dancers and all that kind of stuff,
Just
for
looked at their
like,
feet.
dignitaries and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, why? At this point, why not? Who cares? But they were first and foremost his warriors, as they would bring the severed heads of anybody who opposed him at the point where there is no opposition. Using the fortunes of the Administratum, he builds statues of himself next to the Emperor. And it's like, hey, look at this guy. This guy's my friend.
I know this guy.
Yeah. He became even more paranoid to the point where the palace he stayed in was like falling into disrepair. Everywhere else was being built up and being made beautiful and looking great, but the palace itself was falling into disrepair to the point where like rooms were like unlivable. This time is now known as the Reign of Blood. With virtually nothing stopping him, he just slew his way through the Imperium, doing whatever he wanted, with no one willing to stand up to him. Except for one man. On the planet of Dimimar, I think that's how you say it, a humble priest named Sebastian Thor never sought fame or riches for anything he spoke about, and spoke out against Vandire, and even then his followers protected him through all of Vandire's assassination attempts. And even the assassins sent to kill him would later be converted and then protect him from future assassinations. That's how, like, it's basically Martin Luther King. Like, you know, like such a like a good, honest guy. He's just, but get this for divine intervention. Vandire sent an entire army of the Fraterus Templars to go deal with him, but the army was killed in the warp and was never seen again. And this warp storm is still around in 40k times. It's called the Wrath of the Emperor. And if anything, that made him even more amazing. Like, even the warp, the warp storm created by the Emperor, stopped this army from coming to him. It must be divine intervention. He must be the one that we must follow. So everybody
And honestly,
flocked to
it
him.
could be.
I wouldn't be shocked, based on what I'm going to say next as well, with a couple of other things. Even though the Space Marines and Mechanicus distanced themselves from all this, they were still like, this guy's making a lot of sense, and you need to be punished for your crimes, Goge Vandire. Now, guess that, grimdark James. Does he stand trial for his crimes? Does he destroy the High Lords of Terror and declare war on the Mechanicus and Marines? Or does he shut himself in his palace with his nun waifus?
The third one.
Third one?
Yeah.
He probably did, but he destroyed the High Lords of Terror and declared war on all Space Marines and the Mechanicus of Mars.
Oh.
Because that's going to go well for him.
Yeah, that worked out well.
The Angels of Death. No, let's take them on. The Mechanicus that makes all of our weapons and our ships and our tanks.
Yeah. Finally, the Fabricated General, basically the leader of Mars, had enough of this and summoned the Mechanicus army of Mars, spearheaded by 4 chapters of Space Marines. The Imperial Fists, the Firehawks.
You couldn't tell, but that was Blake jerking himself off.
That was a clap, you degenerate. The Imperial Fists, the Firehawks, the Soul Drinkers, which are another Imperial Fist successor, and the Black Templars.
The Soul Drinkers are pretty cool. I mean, Black Templars are the coolest of all 4 of those, but the Soul Drinkers pretty sweet.
I don't blame you. No, I'm an Imperial Fist fan.
Yeah.
But I want to know more about Soul Drinkers. I'm going to get their omnibus. Anyways, and they all 4 of these chapters and the Mechanicus army and the followers of Sebastian Thor besieged the ecclesiastical palace in what became known as the Terran Crusade. Throughout the Reign of Blood, one faction had remained apart from all this bloodshed and devastation, and that was the Custodes, the protectors of the Emperor, because they just didn't want to be involved in any of the politics, and because they were so secluded, they didn't actually know what was happening. It wasn't until they realized that there's an entire army's worth of people besieging 4 blocks away at the palace, and it's like, the fuck is happening? What's going on here?
They were too busy coating each other in oil in front of the Emperor and being like, oh, look at us. We are the Custodes.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure pose.
Yeah. As a text-to-speech reference.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, they could care less about what was happening outside of the Imperial Palace because it was their job to protect the Emperor. But now the problem is that there's now a war happening outside their doorstep. Then they found out what the siege was happening, and they went to the Marines and Mechanicus and then got the download of what was happening. They said,
and of course they're going to choose the side of the Astartes.
Well, you know, it's hard not to believe that. Mechanicus and Astartes, yeah.
Yeah.
They said, all right, wait here. We're going to see what we can do, what we can. This custodian and a contingent of his guard used the secret tunnels under Terra to get to the brides of Emperor.
Sorry.
Secret tunnel. Admittedly, when I wrote this down, I was thinking that too. Secret tunnel.
Secret tunnel.
They used these secret tunnels to get to the ecclesiastical palace and talk to the brides of the Emperor, and parlayed with them and laid down their arms. Despite the fact that one Custodes could absolutely wipe all of them barehanded, in my opinion. For a whole hour, this custodian just pleaded with them to stand down and let Vandire face up to what he's done.
Honestly,
But
got to be the nicest custodian ever, because most
Yeah.
other custodians would be like,
kill him.
dead.
Yeah. And then, but their whole loyalty to a fault refused to budge and didn't listen to a guard of the Emperor, the one that they proclaimed to follow, which is just wild to me.
Yeah, a giant in golden armor with a spear gun.
Yeah.
Aren't they like the ones that they train? Like they're meant to be the strongest of the
The
strong.
strongest
like,
of the strong, and there's only
because
ever
they're-
going to be 10,000 of them because you can't make any more than that.
And they're basically, most of them is backgrown.
Yeah. They're basically only a little bit less powerful than Primarchs.
Yeah, and it's because they're going to be in front of the Emperor.
Well, there
Like,
there
they're-
are stories of one custodian taking on 4 or 5 Space Marines.
Yeah,
And
so,
easily doing that.
so like going up against.
What is it, like 4 custodians took on a whole hive fleet of Tyranids, didn't they?
Yeah, something
But
like
their
that.
power levels are very,
Very,
very
like in the first Heretic, it's like 4 word bearers take down 1 custodian.
But yeah, so their power levels vary wildly, but they're arguably they're still more
They're
powerful
the
than Space
strongest.
Marines.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they're charged to guard the Emperor.
Yeah.
And the fact that they weren't listening to them is just wild to me.
Yeah.
So the custodian only had one option left.
Kill him.
No, ironically, no. That's not where he went. Leaving his own warriors as hostages with the Brides of the Emperor, the Centurion guided their leader, Alicia Dominica, and her personal
Best
bodyguard. Yeah, best girl. And her personal bodyguard of 5 female warriors. These names are also going to be important. Arabella, Catherine, Lucia, Mina, and Silvana. Into the center of the Imperial Palace itself.
Why is there 2 normal names and then 3 like weird ass?
Okay, so you know how in our
What are you doing?
quick shorts, we were just when we did those quick things and we were talking about the different houses of the yeah. Anyway, this is Alicia Dominica.
Oh.
She's cool.
Yeah.
She's an absolute badass.
So
Hang on, there we go. That's perfect.
I'm trying to get to
Sorry. I like Alicia Dominica. She's really cool.
I know you do. I do too.
So she's a sister of battle.
They're all sisters of battle.
They're all
Yeah,
sisters.
she's a
Yeah.
sister of battle. Yep.
Leaving his own warriors as hostages, the Centurion guided their leader, Alicia Dominica, and her personal bodyguard of 5 female warriors, Arabella, Catherine, Lucia, Mina, and Silvana, into the center of the Imperial Palace itself, the Sanctum Imperialis, to stand before the God Emperor upon his golden throne. Which is fucking wild to me. But what occurred in this most sacred of chamber is never been recorded.
Feet licking.
But is this
Dead guy feet.
There's too many
This
jokes,
is-
guys. I've got to get through this.
Sorry.
this is while he's like dead. Like
Yeah, he's dead.
he's
He's
bones on a
he's
throne.
dead on the
Yeah.
throne. He's dead on the
And they
throne.
still took
But
him to-
what happened in this chamber? Nobody knows what happened. All we know is that when they came out, once they came out, their eyes were burdened with unparalleled anger and hatred, and all of their hair was pure white.
So,
Their hair
like,
turned
my fan theory is that the Emperor. This is one of the few times that the Emperor actually did speak
Yeah.
and spoke out against what was going on, because obviously he knows what's going on.
but he can't do anything because he's got to be the light.
He's got to be there, yeah.
yeah,
the
yeah,
lighthouse,
and it's not
like-
very often that he actually speaks to anyone. Like when he speaks to
I would say because
Rabute
it takes
is
a
one
lot
the
of
few
power
other
on his
times.
end to just talk.
Yeah, because Rabute comes back and he stands
he
in front
talks.
of the Emperor and the Emperor speaks to him, but it's basically just like words flashing in Rabute's head.
It's more like images and like
Yeah.
it's
It's
not-
convention
it's-
of emotions more than anything.
And
Yeah.
I would guess that that's what happened to these two. And so
And maybe they
they've
weren't
had like a
powerful
download of
enough.
truth.
To these 6.
Sorry,
these two-
6.
Yeah, these two events, yeah. That's probably what happened.
Yeah.
So they went from being the brides of the Emperor and they once again called themselves the daughters of the Emperor. Alicia Dominica and her vengeful sisters confronted Vandire, and the words that she speaks now, that I'm going to tell you now, in this confrontation were engraved upon her black marble sarcophagus when she died. You have committed the ultimate heresy. Not only have you turned your back on the Emperor and stepped from his light, you have profaned his name and almost destroyed everything he has striven to build. You have perverted and twisted the path he has laid for mankind to tread. As your own decrees have stated, there can be no mercy for such a crime, no pity for such a criminal. I renounce your lordship. You walk into the darkness and cannot be allowed to live. Your sentence has been long overdue, and now it is time for you to die.
And then...
Dominica drew her power sword. Vandire glanced around the assembled warriors, surrounded by Custodes, Black Templars, Soul Drinkers, Firehawks, Imperial Fists, and then the Mechanicus, and all of his bodyguard that he thought was on his side. But within his confusion, because of his like deep-seated paranoia and just like mind falling into chaos, even at the end, the insane High Lord appeared so divorced from reality that he couldn't even comprehend what she was saying, and he whispered his last words, "I don't have time to die, I'm too busy." And of all times, Vandire's shield generator decided not to work she slashed down, beheading the traitorous High Lord in one stroke.
And that is one of the first instances of a Sister of Battle having divine intervention work in her favor.
Yeah.
It happens again several times.
Either that or the Emperor decided to jump in for that reason as well.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, because one of them becomes a literal fucking angel. But yeah, she beheads the motherfucker.
What
and
do
it's
you think
so
of-
satisfying.
What do you think of that?
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
She is badass.
But he's dead.
He's now dead.
He's not like the other
He's
guys.
just a normal
half
human
dead.
as well, but like, yeah.
No, he's an average human. Not even psychic power. He's just beheaded. He's dead
Yeah,
now.
dead.
He's just a corrupt wanker.
He's
Dead before his head hits the ground.
Yep.
He's dead, Dave. They're all dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with
with him, his fetish died too.
no, the fetish still lives in Slanesh.
No, because then the Sisters of Battle start their arco-flagellants.
Yeah. That's, yeah.
I don't know what that means.
You
but
don't know what that means.
You will when we get to the Sisters episode. With Vandire's death, order was restored to the Imperium. Sebastian Thor was named the new ecclesiarch, and he moved to dismantle most of Vandire's quote-unquote reforms and the political power base he used to enact his tyranny.
So pretty much like just reversed everything that he had
Reversed
done.
everything he did.
Divided state and church again.
But here's the thing. That's the thing. He pushed for the church to focus on more spiritual as opposed to political. And like, even though the ecclesiarchy remained like a powerful player in the imperial politics as a result of its like sheer wealth and sway over billions of believers, but it was focusing more on being a spiritually good citizen of the Imperium as opposed to being an avenue of power and corruption. In that sense of how far Vandire took it.
It was more about population control, like churches nowadays.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like a quest for individual morality and salvation through belief that the God Emperor is the best. Da da da.
Yeah, work hard, 18 hours a day for the God Emperor.
Yeah.
Do not shun the
Work
God
hard,
Emperor.
don't play hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Never again will
Give the Imperium lots of children.
Yeah.
No birth control allowed.
Never again would the Church so completely dominate the political direction of the Imperium. The High Lords of Terror were restored to all positions. The Fraterus Templars were disbanded and issued the Decree Passive, which held that the ecclesiarchy could maintain no men under arms. So the ecclesiarchy is not allowed to have any men holding weapons. However, seeing that, the Ministerium still needed a use for armed protectors to work in the name of the God Emperor. And Thor soon exploited that loophole in his own decree and transformed the daughters of the Emperor to the Adeptus Sororitas, Orders Militant, which later became known as the Sisters of Battle.
No men under arms. They have
No
tits, they're fine.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not men. They're women.
No vagina, no opinion. And
My body, my choice. Fuck you.
But here's the interesting thing. Because of this, to prevent another tyrant like Vandire from ever rising again inside the Imperium's own internal power structure, 2 new divisions were created in the Inquisition. This is where the Order Hereticus was birthed, tasked with eliminating all threats to the Emperor's will, which came within the Imperium. The Sisters of Battle were named the militant order of the Order Hereticus. So whenever the Order Hereticus Inquisitioners
Took a problem with the ecclesiarchy,
Yeah.
then they would take power of the Sisters of Battle over the ecclesiarchy themselves.
So that they were,
Yeah.
could never
They were
be
basically
one.
an army for inquisitorial agents within the Order Hereticus.
Yeah.
So say, for example, if you find out that a planet off on the fringes of the galaxy is using their powers in a corrupt fashion and bordering the line of chaos and bordering the line of corruption, an inquisitorial agent would have a giant army of Sisters of Battle come in and, sort you out in their own
Usually
way.
with flamers.
Usually with flamers and melter guns.
They love burning heretics.
Yeah.
They love the fire.
But they would always
hot.
follow the Ministorum because they believed that their loyalty was to the God Emperor alone, and the Inquisition always spoke for the Emperor.
Yeah.
Always, usually. Those 6 sisters that I told you about, their names, those became the saints in which those different coloured types of sub-factions that you could paint your battle sisters as.
Yeah,
Oh,
so it's
okay.
just... And all those saints, they all do awesome things going on. Like, they'll get... in their own episode, when we do the Sisters of Battle
Yeah.
episode, we'll go into much more detail about
Yeah,
it all.
we will definitely, because there's Order of the Bloody Rose, Order of Our Martyred Lady, Order of the Valorous Heart, Order of the Sacred Rose, Order of the Ebon Chalice, and Order of the Argent Shroud. So they're all, like Space Marine sub-factions, they all have their own specialities and different color schemes and own different creeds. And like, instead of Primarchs, they follow Saints.
Saints, yeah.
Obviously, all the Saints have now passed away because it's like 4,000 years later, but they still follow them. And
Have you seen the Pariah Nexus on the Warhammer Plus?
no, he hasn't seen anything.
Oh,
Plus.
wait, that's
The one with the Necrons?
The Necrons.
Yeah. So the Sisters of Battle that are in that, they are from Our Martyred Lady, I'm pretty sure.
They're the main black and red ones, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or black
I've
and
seen
white.
I've seen the black and red
No,
Black and red? Yeah, black and
yeah.
red.
sisters
Yeah.
battle. Like I've seen
Yeah.
them.
They're one of the few armies that I don't know anything about, like not much about, but I do want to know more about and actually get some models.
Yeah, but they've had their own faction since like 7th edition, I'm pretty
They
sure.
they are
yeah, no,
one of the newer ones. They came out around the same time as Necrons, if I remember right. But
Yeah.
they're one of the newer ones.
Oh no, I just mean like they've got a new. I think they've got a new codex, like for 10th
Oh, for 10th edition, yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just recently.
But yeah, that's essentially what happened. But this whole age also had the Plague of Unbelief. It's another sort of civil war that happens with the Cardinal, or the Cardinal tries to take over Fenris, home of the Space Wolves. Goes about as well as you expect.
Does he get frozen to an icicle as soon as he lands?
I don't know what happens, but it goes about as well as you expect.
Yeah.
But we can go into that another episode another time. But honestly, it's nothing compared to what Vandire did.
No.
And in terms of reforms that happened afterwards,
Also, there's no good foot fetish jokes from that one.
that you know of.
Well, I mean, you'd have to wear shoes, otherwise you'd get, like, gangrene pretty damn quickly on Fenris.
Frostbite.
Frostbite, yeah.
Hey, if they don't, they may have a foot fetish if they've never seen feet.
I mean, that's very Nurgle if you get frostbite and gangrene in one toe.
Fuck that. But yeah, do you have any questions before finishing up here today?
Man,
Have
Find
you-
the
gotta, like,
church.
I gotta process all that. Like,
It is a bit much to take in, but
Yeah.
like this one event leads to a lot of reforms as to why the Imperium is the way that it is in 40k.
yeah,
Yeah, so basically the main point to take away from it is that the church started to take a lot of power from the government and now holds a pretty big sway in the Imperium of Man.
But literally, the Emperor stepped in. Everybody stepped in to stop it from happening, which is something to think about.
Yeah. So when they gather together, they can stop evil even within, but it takes a cost.
yeah.
Yeah. So, James, what do you want to know about more? Look at the graph.
Well,
What graph?
Shut up.
I want to learn about Abaddon and the Black Legion and
okay.
how Abaddon gets his talon from Horus.
And the Sword of Draknile.
Yeah,
Draknir.
and
Draknir.
the demon sword. So I feel like that would be a
The
good
demon sword is Draknir.
place to go next.
He knows that. He runs him.
I don't know how to say it.
What about the wrist bolter?
That is
Yeah,
the
that-
Talon of Horus.
Yes, but it's on the. But it's also.
Oh,
very
it's
cool.
called something. Yeah,
It's called
It is
something.
called
I
something.
don't know. I don't.
It's
run
on the
Chaos.
Talon of Horus. But
Yeah.
yes, I can tell you all about Abaddon and the Black Legion, and I would be very happy to
Well,
take us
this-
down this chaos road once again.
This will be a good time for me to heckle you then.
You can try.
Yeah,
All
I can
the
try. I'm
feet.
a rubbish at it.
Yeah, I mean, I already know what memes you're going to talk about Abaddon. Oh, 13 failed Black...
While
failed
while you're looking up Abaddon and Black Legion, I'm going to look up memes about him. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, oh no, not another failed crusade. Black Crusade. That's absolutely going to be
It's
the
like
only
that
meme.
scene with, like, is that all you've got? It's like, it's all I need.
Or like the other meme about him is, I love a man with a top knot. Gives me something to hang on to. But yes, anyway,
Yes, I
I've
can't
brought
wait-
my heresy
I can't
enough.
wait to hear more about Abaddon, and I can't wait to talk shit about him.
Yes, well, I mean, I did my best to bring some bullshit into this episode, so I'm expecting it, and it's all fair game.
Yeah,
but I'm
so-
happy to take you down that track of heresy, James. The Black Legion was my third army. And yeah, I went deep in them.
Went deep in them. Did
I
you?
went deep in them.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's not
I'm-
fun when you don't like when you like the joke.
It's
The
all
talent
chaos.
of Horus went deep into him.
Yeah.
Straight into Sanguinius's heart.
Yeah, it did.
It did.
I don't care.
Yeah. And it fucked up your emperor.
Oh well.
Yeah. But yes, second War Master. Absolutely. We'll talk about that next time. Thank you guys for
second
listening. If you enjoyed this episode and our absolute derailment of bullshit and all sorts of filthy jokes that we're probably going to have to take out of the episode.
Feet.
Yes. Like and subscribe.
If you fucking dare.
We're going to put an R18 rating on this episode because we're going to need to. So, I've been Corbin.
I've been James.
I've reluctantly been Blake.
Yes. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you guys next time with some heresy.
Emperor rules.
Bye.